slippery, holy shit. I mean, it looks fine. And then you kind of go over here, and it's like, I mean, that'll buff right out, probably. Hey, ladies and gentle boys, Spazzy here, aka Syndromes, and welcome back to what is essentially a very strange period in my life. I know most of you are here for the video games and, Avorian or Freelancer or PlanetSide 2, so if you're actually still watching this sort of thing for now, I will get back to those games eventually. But if you're sticking through with this little stuff that I'm doing right now, thanks for sticking around, and I'll try to make it as interesting as possible for you, even though I'm fully aware that this is not what, the average viewer wants right now, but I still kind of want to document it. Anyway, as already said, the first race, the first participation in any sort of Autosport for me has finally concluded. I'm currently recording this video on the 23rd of July. It's been 3 weeks since the competition, and I am slowly getting ready for the next one. The next one is a week later, and I've been using all this time to repair the damages sustained in the first run to the car itself. So, I wanted a little bit of an update video of the consequences, the realistic, the reality of participating in these sort of events. And yeah, before I do, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is, as you already saw, the damage to the car itself, it's pretty visual only. It's minor. I will have to fix it, and I'm recording this video. But at the same time, the bad part is that I was not aware of this at the time. But the race itself, it's kind of like it starts at 11 a.m. and it ended at 6. The crash happened at around 3 p.m. So I missed the last race. My race and the ceremony after it. But one thing that I didn't know is that after the ceremony, there is a secondary technical inspection that is being performed to the vehicles and your kit. And since I wasn't there when that happened, I gathered my stuff. I was completely soaked. I was covered in dirt. So I didn't even attend the award ceremony. I went back to the hotel and got myself a nice hot shower instead. Well, it turns out since I wasn't there for the inspection, I technically speaking ended up with a did not finish for my, stuff. But, since I was mostly at the very bottom of the list anyway, I don't really see this as a big deal. I'll just be glad that I had the time to kind of learn about my car a little bit, how it handles, and I'll know this better next time. So yeah, I'll stick around until the end next time, and then I'll actually get some points and get on the get on the leaderboard. But yeah, today we are going to take a look at what I have been doing for the last few weeks, and needless to say, it was a very interesting thing. I've never really worked with cars to this extent, or worked with cars at all. But yeah, it started off assessing the damages itself, as you can see in this picture. It's been hovering in front of you for the last whatever minutes. The damage itself is very simple. Essentially, what happened, I took a turn way too fast during a downpour where all the track turned into mud, and I managed to bump into the wall. As it turns out, Subaru fronts, it's a whole bunch of nothing. I was actually surprised. The actual sort of, you know, uh, construction itself, like the front brace, it's very narrow. So, needless to say, I will now know for a fact that to hit something with a side is probably a very good way to die. So, I'm glad that I found that out the easy way this time around. But yeah, so in total, we have a completely busted fender, we have a busted front bumper, we have a shattered headlight unit, like all of it, and I also broke the fog lamp on the driver's side. So all these things I started then, you know, fixing. So yeah, first things first, let's fix the bumper. The bumper was actually the easiest and the most straightforward of the whole bunch. It is really just very thick, very hard plastic, and with plastic like this, the only thing you can do is drill a lot of holes, use a lot of zip ties. I actually went one step further. I reinforced some of the more problematic parts of it with just steel plates that I riveted it together with aluminum rivets, and it looks okay. It looks okay. I spray painted some of the the scratch marks away, and that was about it. Now, during this process, as I was doing this, I was already starting to look for replacements for the fender itself and the headlight and the fog light. I very quickly found out the hard way that buying new parts for this year of car and this model of car is going to be very expensive because this is not, in fact, the most desired type of Subaru. So all the parts are rare and they are very expensive. So for example, the headlight unit itself costs about 250 bucks new. The fog lamp is 150, and the fender is also about 500. 250. So that was not happening. I am going to probably mulch this vehicle again, probably. So buying new parts is not going to happen. But I have a friend of mine who does have a car shop. I'm trying to not go to him with this vehicle simply because I do want to work on it myself. But getting the dings out of the fender is something beyond me. I don't have the equipment for it. He does. I gave it away to him. I got it back. Pay the dude. And then, yeah, my first experience with applying body filler and then just sanding the whole front, the whole thing over, and it works perfectly fine. The only problem came in the form of trying to paint the damn thing because it turns out, well, first of all, car paint is expensive. It runs around like 10 to 15 bucks a piece, and you need like several layers. I put on 3 layers, and it still looked like very matte. It wasn't glossy at all. It didn't look like a normal fender. So instead, I bought a roll of vinyl and then I just wrapped it around. And it looks kind of neat. It's starting to look more and more like a junk car, but at the same time, that was to be expected. It was never pristine. Like this thing already lived on the track before I bought it, so I don't really mind. It's not a pristine vehicle, so it's kind of going to be interesting to see how it gathers these battle scars, so to speak. And yeah, so much for that. This was also the first time in my life where I started interacting with junkers, and actual junkers. People actually do sell their cars for parts, and that's what I did. I found the exact same model year and the model of my car, rang up the dude and told him, well, how much for the headlight and the fog light? And he said, well, the headlight is, it's kind of bleary. It's not really good looking. I said, oh, whatever. He said he's gonna part for it for like 120 bucks, and dude, that's almost half of the price of a new one. So yeah, whatever, let's do it. It arrived, everything's fine. I installed it without any problems, and yeah, everything's fine. It's a brand new headlight. It's even brighter than the ones that I still have, which is kind of weird. I'll have to fix that at some point. And the fog light is the same way. Apart from that, the body itself, there were a little bit of deformation. Nothing substantial, like the car is still driving straight. At the same time, you can kind of see that the shape of the fender is not exactly the same as the other one, and that is because it actually did break off one of the brackets that held it closer, kind of closer to the body itself. It's not flexing, but it's like maybe half or to an inch away from where it's supposed to be. It's not as noticeable, honestly, and I think that the end result was perfectly fine for for a first time attempt at fixing my own vehicle. And yeah, that is the current situation. Then the other thing they'll have to do, by the way, is get a better set of tires. So I wasn't really aware of this, but the next race, it looks like there is a lot of tarmac involved, and I was actually losing the most time in the previous one, specifically on the tarmac, because these tires that I currently have, they're really good grippy in, on the gravel or in the dirt, except when the incident happened, and they're just way too soft on the tarmac. They just lose grip. So essentially, what is going to happen is I am going to buy slightly more summer-esque tires, and go from there. But yeah, that is the current state of the car. The next race is next week on a Saturday. I have already booked a hotel near to the track. This time around, it's not literally across the street, so well, yeah. But yeah, uh, everything else is completely fine. I think that about covers it. I'll probably make a one more separate video about this topic before that happens, and apart from that, yeah, everything's fine. And thanks for sticking with me if you did, and I'll see you in the next episode.